The statement that our rights do not come from our laws or our governments is extremely troubling.
Wow.
The notion that
you're extremely troubling for thinking that you're a god, that you are the person who gets to tell people what their rights are.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator, not by government, not by the Democratic National Committee, but by God.
It just strikes me as extraordinary that a major American politician wouldn't
Vice
understand
presidential
this
candidate.
really elemental part of our system. Literally, God help us, if we say our rights are coming to us from the government. That gives the government, indeed, godlike power.
Tim Kaine is insane. He posted this message over in Congress when he was sitting there in a committee hearing, explaining how he doesn't really understand the American Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the founding of our country, how it all began with this concept of natural rights, inalienable, endowed by our Creator. All of these phrases we've grown up with in America. But this is a senator. This guy ran with Hillary Clinton. He was like a heartbeat away from the presidency if Hillary would have won, if they would have stolen that one. But they didn't. The American people rose up and really took that one out from under them. So this guy was super close. I want to shout out Laura Powell. She's an attorney over on X, and she grabbed this clip for us that has gone mega viral. 2.6 million views on this puppy because it is quite shocking. And there's a reaction to this clip as well. And we're going to look at the actual Declaration of Independence here to confirm what an idiot this guy actually is. And listen to the bravado and the certainty and the assurance that he has that he's so right. This is how their party thinks and believes. This is in their core. And he doesn't even know how to wear glasses, as you can see from his forehead. But here's what he said.
the notion that rights don't come from laws and don't come from the government, but come from the Creator, that's what the Iranian government believes. It's a theocratic regime that bases its rule on Shia law and targets Sunnis, Baha'is, Jews, Christians.
Wild. So this dude is comparing our entire structure of our entire government to the Iranians
And other religious minorities. And they do it because they believe that they understand what natural rights are from their Creator. So the statement that our rights do not come from our laws or our governments is extremely troubling.
Wow.
The notion that
you're extremely troubling for thinking that you're a god, that you are the person who gets to tell people what their rights are. It is like psychopathy, to be honest with you. It's an old world mentality where the elite think that they're gods. Mike Johnson responded, he said, "This is unbelievable. On the eve of the 250th anniversary of our Declaration of Independence, a sitting U.S. senator insists we should no longer hold the most basic self-evident truth, Tim Kaine. If our rights are given by the government and not by God, then the government can simply take them away. We know that Democrats would love that, but you're not supposed to say it out loud." And of course, they did. And the Declaration is very explicit about this. Here is textual copy over from archives.gov. You can read the full beautiful document in its original form also over there, but they transcribed it for us. And you can see there's very clear language in the Declaration of Independence that goes against the opposite of anything that Tim Kaine is saying because his brain is fried. It says, "This is in Congress, July 4th, 1776, the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America, when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them." God. "A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We're going to explain why we're leaving you, England. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that to secure these rights that we have, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed," that's us, "that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness." And it's an incredible document, and if you have never read it, I'd encourage you to do so. But they go through, they explain all of the transgressions of the King of England, and they say, we therefore are now saying we are totally dissolved from you. We don't get our rights from you. We have our own rights granted to us that are inalienable from our Creator. You don't have have to agree in the creator. You can have a Jewish creator, you can have an Islamic creator, you can have a Christian, Catholic creator, whatever you want. But they're inalienable rights. And these are things that are universal across all people. Now, that was explicit in this document. Tim Kaine can't figure it out because they hate this, actually. They don't like this at all. And this is the idea of the living, breathing Constitution, which is an actual jurisprudential concept that judges think about and lawyers think about. Well, what does the public policy say? What does legislative history say? Times are changing. Everything's different. So we can pervert all of the original founding documents to make it something that it isn't. So Tim Kaine is a shameless person, and I can't even believe he's a senator. He should be thrown out of there immediately. Ted Cruz said, our rights don't come from government or the DNC. They come from God. Tim, I suggest the Dems go back and read the words of our founding fathers. Yeah, he's definitely not going to do that. Here's a little bit of what Ted said.
So Senator Kaine said in this hearing that he found it a radical and dangerous notion that you would say our rights came from God and not from government. I just walked into the hearing as he was saying that, and I almost fell out of my chair.
Yeah.
Because that radical and dangerous notion, in his words, is literally the founding principle upon which the United States of America was created.
It's crazy.
And if you do not believe me, and you made reference to this, Mr. Barnes, then you can believe perhaps the most prominent Virginian to ever serve, Thomas Jefferson, who wrote in the Declaration of Independence, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator, not by government, not by the Democratic National Committee, but by God.
Thank you, Ted, for saying that, and amen to that. And so we also had this. This is from a Catholic bishop called Bishop Robert Barron. And, you know, this is a religious flavor here, but I think this man articulates it in a way that was brilliant. And so I'll share this with you. And of course, our opinion is this applies to all religions, right? That even if you don't have a religion per se, you are a human, you were created by something if you don't believe in it. And so we say that you still have those rights, right? And it's because of our God, but it's also just part of human nature, right? I mean, there's a natural rights argument that if you're a human being, you should have free speech. You should have the right to defend yourself. And these are, universal concepts that exist across the board. Our country codified that for once ever in the history of the world. Still are the only ones to codify free speech on the whole friggin' planet. And Tim Kaine is saying that that's not logical. Here is this bishop destroying insane in the brain, Tim Kaine.
Everybody, it's Bishop Barron. I just feel obligated to speak out against something that I came across today, and I just found it so outrageous and really so dangerous to our democracy. With Senator Tim Kaine at I think it was a Senate confirmation
Boost his volume
hearing,
up a little bit.
and he was actively contesting the view that our rights come from God and not from the government. And he said it's very dangerous if you claim that our rights don't come from laws and from government. Well, what struck me was he's a senator from Virginia. Virginia was a state of Thomas Jefferson and James Madison, both of whom took it as fundamental to our democracy that our rights don't come from the government, they come from God. So we know the familiar words of Jefferson, right? That we are created equal, created by God. We're endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You see, so basic to Jefferson was the fact that rights come first. They're not invented by the government. Rather, government exists, and remember this language from the prologue of the Declaration, to secure these rights. Doesn't invent them, doesn't ground them. It secures them, it recognizes them as objectively coming from God, and then its whole purpose is to secure them, to serve them. Think too of that familiar word from Jefferson, inalienable. These rights are inalienable. Now why? Because they come not from the government, but from God. If the government creates our rights, it can take them away. If the government is responsible for our rights, well then it can change them. You think this never happens, you don't know much about the history of the 20th century. Look at the great totalitarian systems of the 20th century that followed from the denial of God, and denial of rights coming from God, and so those rights became eminently alienable whenever it served the purposes of the government. It just strikes me as extraordinary that a major American politician wouldn't understand this really elemental part of our system. Literally, God help us, if we say our rights are coming to us from the government. That gives the government, indeed, godlike power. We are, and this is not pious boilerplate, it's basic democracy. We are a nation under God. Lincoln says, the Gettysburg Address, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom. Again, that's not just pious decoration. That's a very important political statement. We are a government that recognizes the objective rights that come from outside of government. Government exists to serve them and to secure them. Well, the fact that this rhetoric, and it's popped up elsewhere too in recent years, I spoke out against it a little while ago, is troubling because it's a fruit fruit, I would say, of the increasing marginalization and privatization of religion, if not outright hostility to it.
Yep.
But see, everybody, religion is elemental. It's basic to our democracy. So I'm speaking out against this statement I think is really dangerous, both as a Catholic bishop and as a proud American who's very happy to follow Thomas Jefferson. And God bless you.
God bless you, Bishop. Thank you for the nice message. So that dude, you know, a little closer proximity to the heavenly powers than your boy here has, and we agree with everything he said.